Hi, welcome to the feed. While we have discussed about process of research methodology earlier, now in this video we will look about sampling. Sampling is an integral part of research whereby you will have to select the right respondents for data collection. There are a lot to be learnt in this and we will see those as much as possible in this feed. To start with, you need to be aware that sampling is not mandatory if you can survey the entire population. When the population is huge, this is where we initiate the process of sampling. Let us take a very simple example to explain the concept of sampling. Assume you want to estimate the average income of individuals living in Kuala Lumpur. First method is to contact every individual in Kuala Lumpur to know their income and then divide by total number of individuals. This is practically impossible because you cannot contact 1.8 million individuals in Kuala Lumpur. So this is ruled out. The second method is to select few families to become the basis of your inquiry and then make an estimate of average income of families. This selection process is called as sampling. This could be few from a bigger group. This picture illustrates how sampling is done. Group of people are found here. Since the group is big, we take portion of them as our sample. Do not ponder whether this is right or wrong process. We will see how to do this sampling in the right way. This is where we will now have to see about different sampling techniques. This particular chart, which you are seeing, has types of sampling. You may choose any sampling types based on demand of your research. Predominantly, there are two main classifications such as random sampling and non-random sampling. People also call this as probability and non-probability sampling. For convenience, we will use as random and non-random now. We will run over each sampling method here quickly. Under random sampling, there are three types. They are simple random sampling, stratified random sampling, and cluster sampling. Simple random sampling is most commonly used method, but this should not be misinterpreted as simple as it sounds. Here remember a concept called fishbowl draw. Each population is taken firstly, then random sample are taken from fishbowl and they are considered. So there is a process in selecting a sample here. Next is stratified random sampling. Strata means group. Here you make different groups or strata and classify a sample into them. Then you randomly select a proportion of people from each strata. Make sure you have justification of proportion here. This is called stratified random sampling. Next is cluster sampling. This is also to divide the population into groups or clusters, but here it is done based on levels. Imagine you want to investigate the problems of university students in Malaysia. Here first level of cluster sampling could be at state level. That is, you to select the state universities. Then within the universities in state, the programs like MBA students, PhD students, bachelor degree students can be double stage cluster. Lastly, within each program randomly you can select students, which is called multi-stage cluster sampling. Then we have non-random sampling. Usually this non-random sampling is used when number of elements in a population is either unknown or cannot be identified. In such cases, we use four kinds of non-random sampling technique. They are quota sampling, accidental sampling, judgmental or purpose sampling, and snowball sampling. To make it short and easy to understand, please look out into the handouts circulated along with this ebook. The last thing which we will discuss about is sampling size. Once you decide the sampling technique, the next important step is determine your sample size. You cannot take any number of sample that you like. There has to be a scientific proof to have a sample size. While there are certain formula to calculate sample size like G-factor and Rosoft online calculators, it is suggested to follow Kreitz and Morgan table. Robert Kreitz and Dale Morgan in the year 1970 drafted this particular table. In this table, N represents population and S represents sample size. So if your population is 80, then your sample size should be 60. If your population is 40,000, then your sample size should be 380. Make it simple as it looks. Complication in sample can lead to demolish your entire data collection. So remember to stick with principles and rules when it comes to sampling. Thank you.